Hello, everyone. All right, I just tested this. It's been since November 2025. Today is February 23rd, 2026. Uh, I would like to say, all right, the light does make a difference. Welcome to the new setup. You guessed that, I moved again. And a lot of things have been happening, but it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Today's video is selfishness versus unselflessness. And I defined here selflessness versus unselfishness, the act of wanting nothing. Uh, the 11th, 2024. This is a year plus ago. The 11th, 2024, I think, is when the bombing started. It was around that time? No, no, it was after that time. But this is inspired by a friend of mine. My friend basically started talking about how she's trying to be more selfless, and for me, it hit me. She was trying to be selfless with expectations, and that kind of like didn't make sense for me. And we were trying to debate whether like unselfishness isn't like not being selfish is the same as selfless. And I think I remember I came to the conclusion that they're different. That's why I kind of like made this video. So unselfishness is the act of wanting nothing. Selfishness is the act of wanting something. Okay. And unselfish, to not be selfish, right, is the act of wanting nothing. Because selfishness is the act of wanting something. Unselfishness is the act of wanting nothing. And there's basically like there's a relationship for this and letting go, which I debated actually yesterday. Was the difference between giving up and letting go. And literally it's just like a mental approach. Like to give up on something is to not be a part of it. But to let go of something is kind of like to relinquish your attention towards it within the moment. But so, if unselfishness is basically the opposite of selfishness, then selflessness is something that's pretty selfish by nature, because I'm doing something that's beyond myself. But it doesn't necessarily mean I'm not being selfish about it. And it all boils down to intention. Because unselfishness is you taking the intention of wanting something for you specifically and basically reverting it as be like, no, I just don't want anything, right? I'm being unselfish. I'm just not really interested in, I guess, the outcome of it, or more like, no, it's one of those where somebody kind of like asks you for a favor, and the closest thing, am I being objective about this? Listen to me. If somebody asks me for a favor, and my head goes like, sure, why not? I think you own me a favor is a good thing for the future, and it, I don't have actually a favor that I want to ask of you. There's nothing in my mind that I need from you, but it's one of those I get to spend my time on something, so why not spend my time doing something that contributes to my future? I think that's what networking is, and the base of social interaction is philosophically. I'm kind to people, and I think I see that more when I'm like when when I'm around a homeless person or a beggar, or like when you're kind of like giving attention or giving money to somebody that's in need. And Ayn Rand discusses it, the virtue. What was it? The virtue of selfishness. I think nihilism doesn't really exist. The reason we give something to people, or that we give from our heart, is because we see ourselves in those people's position, and basically we go like, here you go, my guys. I'll give you money today because I have some extra, or I give you money today so that when the time comes and you actually have money, well, if I'm ever in your situation, I would basically like want somebody to give me money. Now that I say that out loud, it kind of also sends a message to yourself that such a situation is okay, or at the very least, such a situation is within the realm of your consciousness, which is making me feel some kind of way. It's not yet worthy of a note, but it definitely is going to be within the forefront of my thought process today. I haven't done this in 4 months. But to get back, like selflessness is you being selfish about the selfless act that you do. And I think selflessness is a deposit into our future. It's very much the karmic approach. It's still a very selfish approach. It is happening with an intention from you. Whilst unselfishness is happening with a promise or a potential promise, would we call that an intention? Because if you're being unselfish, then you literally want nothing in return. And the reason we had this conversation is she was talking to me about her kids. She was telling me she was trying to be selfless towards her kids, but she was still feeling guilty, right? And my the thought process before I remember that conversation. I no, I think I talked about this, or at the very least, I had this discussion with her a few times because the the idea of like a mother showing love to her kids is never actually like okay, most of the time is met without the appreciation of her existence. And that's the natural way that we do things because the first thing we do when basically we're comfortable with somebody's love or somebody's existence or whatever people do in our lives, the minute we're comfortable around that, the first thing we do is we kind of like take them for granted. And I don't know if it's a survival mechanism that humans developed because, and I realize that anytime I'm in a new space, it kind of takes you a while to get used to the details, and then you start assuming their presence. And by doing that, you're able to focus on things beyond that. And that's why, like, my concept of awareness or my concept of your own presence is just the attention. And so instead of allowing things to take attention from you, you're kind of like deciding where you want to give that attention to. So, anyways, so like doing something and still wanting nothing is an unselfish approach, right? Is that how I started? Yeah, because being selfless is an act of selfishness. Yes, that's how I started. And being unselfish is back basically wanting nothing, is approaching something without, well, wanting nothing is an intention, but it's an intention that's kind of like, I guess, gifted. The intention is is it right? Is it just a gift? Like, take this and do something with it kind of thing. If I haven't done this in a while, man, I don't remember being easily lost in thought. So yeah, she was telling me about her kids and how she basically like does not get appreciated. Although they always tell her that they love her. They're showing appreciation the best the way they know how. So I was pointing at how her being selfless, or she was being very selfish. Her painting the image of selflessness is a very selfish approach. And how if she starts considering basically, I don't know, I would want to say quantifying her active actions towards them, then ultimately instead of like getting something in return, it's a computer thing by the way. there's a language I use where sometimes there's an action that returns something on the spot, and sometimes there's an action that kind of like requires some time, so it returns a promise. And by the time that action is done, it kind of like returns to you with the end result, and you cash in the promise for the end result. It's an I owe you one kind of thing. And I feel like it's not that I feel like when you're being unselfish, the I guess the relationship is beyond what you can quantify. But when you're being selfless, it could be quantified, but it could be quantified like from a karmic perspective again, like the give and take, the supply, not the supply and cause and effect kind of thing. It could be quantified, but what we end up doing is we end up establishing a an unobserved pattern. And what I'm saying right now is not looking at selflessness as a selfish act creates an illusion in our head, which which al- which which doesn't bring us a satisfying payment or return, right? Because like ultimately, if you're doing something here and you know you're being selfish, then you're expecting something and you know what to expect. That's the beauty of selfishness. Like I'm doing this for this reason, and then that reason happens or doesn't happen, and then you deal accordingly. But when it comes to selflessness, you're kind of like denying that reason while you're still doing it from that angle, right? And sometimes being selfless doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it for a positive reason. Like it's subjective. You decide when you're being selfless. Like some people are selfless with their time, some people are selfless with their money, some people are selfless with their energy or with their advice or whatever. Like, I think our goal should be unselfishness, I guess. 'Cause like when you're doing something unselfishness, you're kind of like you're stacking promises, and every once in a while, instead of like that gym membership where if you don't go for like 12 days by the end of the month, you kind of lose that. You kind of lose those days that you paid for. I think with the universe, when you don't go for like X amount of time, and you're owed basically all these promises by the universe kind of like stacks them up and opens up a new realm. It's like the gym. You just registered to go, for example, and work out, but you don't go for like 5, 6 days of the 12 days you paid for. So the gym kind of like gives you a free massage for the next month, so that you kind of feel like, ooh, fuck yeah, man, right? Like I did not waste something. That's kind of how it works. Anyways, yeah, video for 170, no, video 672, my babies. 73, sorry, my bad. And welcome to the new year and the new structure. This is book number 5. There you go, book number 5. I'm excited to go through this book over the next 5 to 6 months and see my evolution and update you on the world. Fucking love you guys, and I missed you a lot. I really did. Here we are. Bye. It's a video.